It was a place that you could play every night. We would do 2 shows and rehearse most of the afternoon. And it just evolved into almost like the theater of the absurd, where there were just, we had, because it was a theater, we had a string, a wire coming from the projection booth down to the stage where animals would come down and anybody that was in the first 3 or 4 rows would get abused by spraying them with shaving cream or Coca-Cola, whatever, and we'd go out in the audience and bring people up on stage, and it was no holds barred every night. You never knew what was going to happen, and I think for the most part that's why we enjoyed so many people coming to hear the band. I met a lot of people later on that said, I saw you at the Garrick, you guys were, that whole thing. And when we finished, I think we went on a European tour after that, but we were only, I don't know, 3 or 4 doors away from the village gate. And, I got to hear Miles Davis and Dizzy. I mean, there were artists that, because I've always loved jazz, that I got to hear, and it was a great experience living in the village. So many clubs, so many things going on. It was those very exciting days. I remember going on tour, and they came with us, and I think it was Art Garfunkel that had a video camera and he was going into all the rooms and video, because we were always, doing weird things, and they loved it. But Frank introduced him as Tom and Jerry on stage. I don't know if some of the people knew it, but they played a couple of gigs with us, and they just thought it was hilarious the way, some of the stuff that we did on stage, and I forget what it was. Me and Motorhead demonstrated the Buster Crab, a little sexual thing that I had. I wouldn't say developed; it just came by chance, but. Those kind of things, they loved, it's just because they thought we were very wacky, and we had to maintain that, that reputation when we went out to play. And you know what? I think that was also an aspect that Frank loved, because he loved to laugh. He loved to laugh. Sometimes it was graveside humor, but he loved to laugh at outrageous things. And I honestly believe that our band provided him with more humor and laughter and whatever at that stage of his life than any of the succeeding, bands later on, where it was just strictly playing his music for the most part, and leave it go at that. So that was, I think, one of the unique things about the band. There was always something going on between the Indian and Roy and Don and me, that would provide humor for Frank, and he loved that. He really did. And I think it was very necessary, again, in when people see you having that much fun. It's kind of contagious, I think. And I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever seen another band get into that kind of wacky stuff on stage. You usually, you go to a concert and you want to hear the band that you heard on record, and that's good enough for me, kind of thing. But there were certainly more things involved in that. And again, the spontaneity of doing whatever you want to do was always present on stage, and I think that was another aspect that people came hoping, I don't know if expecting, but hoping to see.